Hey, Dina, have you washed these sheets properly? They smell like you, said my father-in-law as he laid on the sheets. If we had lived together, I might have experienced such bizarre scenes every day. Just the thought of it gives me the shivers. The divorce that resulted from this living arrangement marked the start of my new life. I am Dina. I am 60 years old and divorced. Others may think differently, but I believe that at 60, I still have a lot ahead of me. I taught myself how to use a computer, which was once a challenge, by reading books. I always want to be an enthusiastic woman who doesn't give up because of her age. Compete with the younger ones? No, I am still young, actually. But even I have faced tough times. The incident happened when I finally finished paying off the house mortgage. This was over a decade ago. I had contributed to the purchase of the house with my husband, Jim, in our 20s, and we had just finished paying off the mortgage. Jim said, "Maybe we should consider living together?" What do you mean by that? You know what I mean. Living with my parents. I've said this many times, but it's a bit difficult. Why? To be honest, I don't think your mother likes me very much. Living together would be hard for both her and me. The way things are now is best. That might be true, but we won't know unless we try, said Jim. Once we start living together, it won't be easy to stop, will it? You always seem to shy away from challenges. Challenges, huh? Ever since we got married, he often suggested living with his parents. Before marriage, he was firmly against cohabitation, so I felt relieved. But after marriage, he gradually started saying living together might be nice. It's like a scam. I later found out that his mother often told him, "What will you do when we get old?" It's worrying. Before I knew it, Jim started feeling a strange sense of duty, thinking living together is my responsibility as a son, a way of loving my parents. I wish he'd feel that not living together is also his responsibility as a husband. I think it's important to care for his parents, but he keeps insisting on living together even though I don't get along with his mother. Holding back my emotions, my relationship with my thoughtless husband gradually worsened, but he seemed completely unconcerned. As the remaining amount on our house mortgage decreased, his suggestions for living together with his parents intensified. I had ignored his words until then, but this was a warning sign. Feeling an impending sense of crisis, one day, I went to the door at the sound of the intercom and was shocked when I opened it. "Hello," said my smiling mother-in-law and father-in-law standing there. It was 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning. The sunlight illuminated their smiling faces. It was like a holy scene, but that couldn't be so. Stunned by their sudden visit, I stood there frozen. Then Jim appeared behind me, welcomed them with "welcome back," and led them inside. "Wait, welcome back? What's going on? Aren't visitors supposed to say excuse us, and the hosts, please come in?" Then Jim's familiar words came to mind. "Let's live together with my parents." This was bad. Confused, I followed them into the house. Then, I saw my mother-in-law carefully examining the china cabinet. "What are you doing?" I asked impulsively. Look at this scratch. It's a pity to buy a new one, but doesn't it bother you, Dina? Aren't you a bit careless? I wish you'd use it more carefully." "What?" I chose this. I looked at the spot she was observing, but couldn't see any scratches. Maybe she saw the wood grain as scratches because of presbyopia? But I have presbyopia too, and I don't see it that way. However, my mother-in-law has always made such baseless accusations against me. Maybe she just can't like me because I stole her son, but I'm not convinced either. Well, I'll just let it slide as usual. Then I realized I couldn't see my father-in-law. Hearing a noise from upstairs, I went up with a bad feeling. And there he was, lying on my bed instead of my husband's, face down. I screamed in surprise. And without any shame, he said, "Oh, Dina, are the sheets clean? They smell like you," and laughed. Wait. You absolutely can't do this. Please stop that." I blurted out, without any hesitation. What do you mean by that? Why are you, a daughter-in-law, being so impudent?" shouted my father-in-law. "It's not about being a daughter-in-law. Why are you sniffing around in someone else's bed?" I raised my voice. I'm just checking if they've been washed properly. There's absolutely no need for that. I strongly argued back. No, it's necessary. As someone who will live in this house, it's an essential check. What? What are you talking about? I really don't understand what you mean, I said, confused. Humph, the thought of living with such a disrespectful daughter-in-law worries me. Living together. I was shocked and lost for words. Suddenly, my husband Jim and my mother-in-law appeared before me. I wondered why it was so noisy. And here you are, said Jim. Jim, your father says he's going to live with us. Is that true? I asked my husband. Yes, exactly as it sounds, Jim answered. What? Really? The house mortgage is going to be finally paid off this month, right? Yes, that's right, but… So, I've decided that we'll live here with my parents. What? Why would you decide such a major thing on your own? No, I've been asking about living together for a while now. I told you firmly oppose it. I can't accept living under the same roof as someone who sniffs other people's sheets. I argued strongly. Did you say that? I clenched my fists, feeling a mix of surprise and anger. Besides, I've been seeing another girl for a while now. So, I don't really need to live with you. What? That's unbelievable. Well, anyone would prefer a young and cute girl over a wife who won't live with her in-laws. I wondered what he was talking about, but there was more to be shocked about. If you don't like it, that's fine. Once the mortgage is paid off, we don't need you anymore, my mother-in-law said with a smile. What? I asked again in shock. That's right. You're no longer needed. Now get out. My father-in-law said, grinning and gesturing as if shooing away a dog. So, I was just a tool to help with mortgage payments to them for a long time. Jim's income alone was uncertain, and both incomes were needed to get a new house and pay off the mortgage quickly. My mother-in-law had endured her son's marriage to me, always hoping for and waiting to be able to live together. Once the mortgage was paid off, she probably thought she could live with her son again. To them, I was useful like a servant until no longer needed. The more I understood the situation, the angrier I became. I regretted not doing anything until it got to that point. But the house was also important to me. There was no reason for me to be cornered like this. But wait a minute. A sudden idea flashed in my mind, and a light shone in my heart that was filled with despair and irritation. All right, let's all live together. What? My quick response surprised Jim and my mother-in-law the most. They might have thought I would leave easily, but they were taken aback by my unexpected answer. A life with a husband, his affair partner, and in-laws sounds fun, doesn't it? My mother-in-law and Jim's reactions to my statement were so funny that I laughed. But of course, that was just a joke. Who would live together? Of course, I'm leaving, I said. They probably didn't expect me to leave so easily. They must have thought I would beg to stay. Jim was unsettled until the moment I left the house, but I ignored him and eventually finalized our divorce. About a month later, having lost the house and enjoying my free time in a hotel after the divorce, I received a call from my ex-mother-in-law. I really need to see you, she said, though it seemed troublesome. I had a hunch, so I agreed to meet her. When I arrived at the cafe for our appointment, there sat my former in-laws with gloomy faces. As soon as they saw me, my mother-in-law tearfully said, "Dina, thank you for coming." Well, the whole family gathered. What do you need from your ex-daughter-in-law? We received a notice yesterday about the division of property. Of course, we're divorced, so we need to discuss property division properly, right? Did you think I wouldn't respond? What? Well, but the situation has changed now. The situation? I repeated the question, and Jim's dejected figure seemed even more disheartened. Jim's company has finally gone bankrupt. Is that so? I thought that might happen. I clapped my hands and said with a smile, I knew it. Dina, what do you mean by I knew it? Jim's income has been decreasing year by year, and last month, there was a delay in his salary payment. That's a sign of a company going under. Such a thing happened. Jim, why didn't you say anything? My mother-in-law's face was filled with anger towards her son. Jim let out a small leap and looked frightened. Well, I never thought the company would fail. People usually notice such things. You're just ignorant, I sharply pointed out, and Jim looked up in surprise, saying what? Immediately, I asked everyone, so, you all gathered here to tell me that Jim has lost his job and can't contribute to the property division? Surely that's not the case, right? Everyone was at a loss for words. Well, Jem was the first to speak up. Our house burned down. What? The house, it burned down. I get that. But how did it happen? It was Dad's cigarette. Huh. Ha ha ha. Living with your parents led to a huge loss. Huh? That stuff? I couldn't help but burst into laughter. I had anticipated Jim losing his job. When divorcing, I thought to myself, I don't want to support such an irresponsible, unemployed husband, and living with his parents would bring more problems. There are also issues when caring for the elderly. So, divorcing was the best choice for me. But I never imagined that his father would burn down the house. This could be the perfect opportunity to speak. A mischievous idea awakened in me. Haha, I'm sorry, but it must be really tough for you. Since Dad and Mom left their home, they have nowhere to live and we don't know what to do. Jim said, truly unemployed and homeless now. Please stop saying things like that. I'm also living in a hotel at the moment, so I'm practically homeless too. But that will change soon as I'm about to get my own place. Really? Everyone was surprised at my news of purchasing a new home. Just the reaction I expected. You know that high-rise apartment near the station? I'm moving there soon. A high-rise apartment. Jim's and my in-laws' faces changed completely. Maybe a high-rise apartment is everyone's dream? For me, I chose it just because it has good security. I wasn't interested in higher floors and chose a lower one to avoid the stress of waiting for elevators. What? We want to live there, too. Dina, can we live with you? Please. Forget everything that happened before. Really, Dina? I'm asking to. As expected, my in-laws shamelessly asked to live in the ex-daughter-in-law's house. Their audacity was astounding. Could it be that my father-in-law planned to burn down the apartment as well? I'd like to help, but after all, I was just an unnecessary existence for you all. Just a wallet for mortgage payments. As I spoke sarcastically, my in-laws hurriedly started praising me. We've always admired your housekeeping skills. You certainly brighten up the home. You're thoughtful and beautiful. In contrast, our son was spoiled and grew up to be unemployed, and we can't handle him. Their only son, my ex-husband, was speechless watching them. Even a beloved son becomes unnecessary if he lacks the ability to support them. Such cruel parental thinking. Hey, living with so many people might not be bad, I said, and Jim and his parents looked surprised. It might be lively. Dina, what do you mean? Jim asked. Oh, I mean just what I said. As I smiled kindly, everyone's faces brightened. It's just, it might be a bit awkward to live with a divorced husband again. As I said this, my mother-in-law responded, Oh, that's true. Don't worry about it. Jim doesn't need to live with you. She said cheerfully. What? Jim was shocked. That's right. Jim can live somewhere else. We can live together with you. My father-in-law chimed in. Wait a minute, Dad, Mom. Why are you leaving me out? Jim protested. Because we can pay Dina for food with our pension, but you can't, his father explained. So, they planned to forcibly live in the high-rise apartment and only paid for meals. I was about to say that, but chose to remain silent and observe the family discord I had instigated. Go ahead, fools, play right into my hands. Then, if you both are receiving pensions, you should find another place to live. We can't afford such wastefulness without a job, not knowing what our future holds. What future are you talking about? You're already in your twilight years. You're an elderly couple with unsteady feet. How rude. We're still healthy. If you're healthy, find a job and use that income for the future. I can't even take a bath or go to job interviews in my current state. Clean yourself in the river. You're always thinking only for yourself. What? You're saying that when you don't do it yourself, you're a failure, an arsonist. Who's the failure? You, the useless son. Unemployed and worthless. We don't need you. We're cutting ties. That's fine. I'd rather not have parents who disregard their son. During this family argument, tension filled the air between Jim and his parents. My mother-in-law, in a soft voice, tried to calm my father-in-law. You don't really mean to cut ties, do you? However, Jim's firm stance only fueled his father's anger further, and he refused to retract his decision to sever ties with him. Moreover, my father-in-law jokingly said to me, "This makes the room bigger, huh?" His words hinted that he had fully accepted a new life in the high-rise apartment, planning to live in my home. I asked with a bit of sarcasm, "Can't you misunderstanding something?" Everyone looked at me in surprise. The size of the room hasn't changed from the beginning. I have no intention of living with you all, I calmly stated. What do you mean by that, Dina? Asked my father-in-law. I replied indifferently, it doesn't have any deep meaning. I just said that having many people around would make life lively. Nothing more, nothing less. At that moment, my mother-in-law objected, "What? But from your words, it felt like you were considering living with us." I raised my voice slightly. It's quite interesting to see you two so easily choose life in a high-rise apartment over your son. Jim always disregarded my opinions and wanted to live with you, but what about now? Isn't it time to realize how unreasonable your proposals have been, Jim? Can't you see the reality even after your house has burned down? Then Jim looked at his parents with deep anger. Indeed, you're right, Dina. I believed in giving back to my parents, but it seems they never thought the same of me. Wait, Jim. My in-laws couldn't hide their surprise at his statement. Jim, I was wrong. Let's forget the estrangement. So, Father, you just want to rely on your son because you can't live in my house, right? What? No, that's not it. Do you really think so? You seem clearly unsettled. As I smiled and said this, my father-in-law began to panic. Seeing this, Jim's anger became more apparent. I don't need such parents. Estrangement it is. Jim shouted angrily, and his parents begged frantically, "Please listen," but he wouldn't hear them. Instead, he turned to me. "Thanks to you, I've come to realize I want to start over." What, really? Yes, I'm serious. You did all this to wake me up, right? Haha, stop it. That's too convenient for you. What, why? I just thought it might be fun to see someone who abandoned his wife to get along with his parents now struggling with them. What? You're just an object of property division to me now. What? Property division? You really plan to demand that in this situation? This situation? That's irrelevant. It's obvious. I signed the divorce papers quickly to leave the house, but property division can still be claimed after divorce, so I intend to take it seriously. Wait, hey, don't you love me anymore? What charm could someone without an address or a stable job possibly have? Your head's empty too. I can't believe it. Later, unable to reconcile with me, Jim raged at his parents. This is all your fault. Before the police arrived, I left the scene. And then, I did exactly as I said and pursued the property division. Honestly, it wasn't a large amount, but it marked the complete end of my relationship with Jim. Jim, now without an address or job, struggled with reduced savings due to the property division and became estranged from his parents. He seems to be living a wandering life, moving from various places, doing odd jobs daily, staying in cheap lodgings, sometimes even sleeping in parks. Unable to find stable work due to his age, he's leading a nomadic life. His parents didn't repair their relationship with their son and decided to live on their pension alone, essentially disowning him. They have always been a couple only concerned with themselves. Meanwhile, I have been living a relatively affluent life due to my investment activities I started before the divorce. Recently, I began attending a local programming school to improve my computer skills. I'm the only one in my age group, but I'm surrounded by children, making me feel like I have many grandchildren. Though I never had children, I find warmth in being surrounded by children in this way. A primary school girl named Tracy seems interested in knitting, and I sometimes teach her during breaks at the school. Watching her and other children join in knitting together brings a smile to my face. Despite a life full of ups and downs, I plan to continue living a life that's true to myself.